Tick tock, 30 minutes left. That's it. Half an hour before everything changes or everything collapses. Now, most people, they panic. That tight little feeling in the chest, that's fear pretending to be logic. They start pacing, praying, bargaining with ghosts they don't believe in. See, when people hear a miracle is coming, they imagine sparkles and twars made by a sunbeam shining down like heaven, just sleep like Marsteller. But what they don't realize is that real miracles, the gritty, dirty, skin-ripping kind, don't come dressed in gold. They crawl in through the basement while you're too distracted by the noise upstairs. The final stretch. The last crooked mile before something big happens. You know the one. It doesn't come with confetti or balloons or that heroic music playing in the background. No, it comes wrapped in silence, pressure, doubt, and that funny little voice in your head that starts whispering, maybe this is all a joke. Because here's the thing they never tell you. Right before something breaks wide open, it feels like you're being broken instead. Not inspired, not uplifted, no divine light cracking through the clouds. Just you and the weight, the aching weight, the silence that stings more than screams ever could. You start asking questions you already know the answers to. Why is it so hard right now? Why now? Why me? And no matter how loud you shout them into the void just stares back. Nothing. Not a word. Not a sign. Just pressure. Crushing pressure. Like you're being smothered by invisible hands and all you can do is smile while your lungs beg for air. Because no one around you sees it. They see calm. They see faith. But inside, you're shaking. You're spiraling. You're ready to burn it all down because whatever this miracle is, it sure knows how to drag its feet. And people, they love to talk when you're in this place. Hold on just a little longer. You're almost there. God's timing is perfect. And you smile. Not pretend to listen. But in your head, you're screaming. Because you don't feel almost there, you feel forgotten. Abandoned in the hallway of almost. The door's still closed. The lights are still off. And you're wondering if maybe this is it. Maybe this stretch, this pain is all there is. Maybe the miracle was just a rumor. And you were the punchline from the start. But here's what makes it so twisted. This is the point where most people quit. Not when it gets hard, but when it gets quiet. When the pressure doesn't scream anymore, it just squeezes. Slowly. Silently. You feel it in your chest, your stomach, your spine. And the worst part, you can't explain it. Because there's no visible fire, nothing's crashing. Everything looks normal. And yet, you're seconds from collapse. That's how it works. That's the final stretch. The cosmic joke. The test nobody studies for because no one tells you it's coming. You see, when you're close, like really close, life gets surgical. It doesn't slash. It slices. It peels off layers you thought you needed. People start leaving. Opportunities dry up. Your own mind turns against you. You lose energy. You lose clarity. You even lose the will to ask for help because you've convinced yourself no one would understand. And maybe they wouldn't. Because miracles don't make sense until they're over. Until you're on the other side, laughing at the absurdity of how close you were to walking away from the very thing you prayed for. This pressure, it's not the punishment. It's the process. It's the moment the universe leans in and whispers, show me. Not your words, not your plans, not your dreams, just your staying power. Can you hold on when it hurts? Can you trust what you can't see? Can you bet your last breath on a promise no one else believes in? Because that's what this is, the final brutal question asked right before everything shifts. Not just do you want it, but will you bleed for it? Will you sit in the silence without running? Will you let go of everything you thought you had to be just to become what you were meant to be? Most people don't make it here. And those that do, well, they're never the same. They walk different. Laugh different. They've seen too much. Lost too much. They've been cracked open and rebuilt with something stronger than hope, something reckless. Something fierce. Something untouchable. And it's earned. Always earned. In this place, right here, where your body's tired, your heart's numb, and your soul's crawling towards something it can't quite name. Because this is it, the last stretch before the miracle. It feels like punishment, but it's not peace. That sweet little word people throw around like candy at a parade. Everyone wants it, screams about it, posts about it, but when it shows up wrapped in silence and loneliness, they run. Oh, they run fast, because true peace doesn't come dressed in soft music and warm lights. No real peace. It's terrifying. It's quiet. It's the kind of silence that makes you question everything. The kind that doesn't answer your cries, doesn't comfort your ego, doesn't distract you with noise. Just silence, stillness, and you face to face with everything you've been avoiding. You think peace is supposed to feel good, like finally exhaling after a long day. But real peace, God's kind of peace, it doesn't coddle you, it exposes you, strips away the distractions, peels back your fake smiles, your people-pleasing habits, your noise addiction, and there you are. No applause, no validation, just you and him. You realize peace isn't the absence of chaos. It's the presence of God in the middle of it. And sometimes to feel that, he's got to take the chaos away. All of it. Even the kind you secretly enjoyed. So he starts removing things, people, patterns, platforms. It feels like punishment, like betrayal. You call it an attack. But it's surgery, it's deliverance. It's him saying you asked for peace, not popularity. And what's funny, the very things that used to distract you from pain, those late night texts, the constant scrolling, the approval of people who don't even like you, he starts cutting those cords. You cry about loneliness, but it's peace you're experiencing. You're just not used to it without the noise. And then you look around. No drama, no manipulation, no confusion. Just a clear room and a clearer mind. But guess what? That's when it hits, the panic, because you built your identity in the chaos. You knew who you were when you were needed, when you were fixing things, chasing things, proving something. Now there's nothing to prove, nothing to chase, just stillness, and it drives you mad. Because peace forces you to sit in the truth of who you are when there's no performance to hide behind. But here's the cruel genius of it all. That silence, that space, it's sacred. It's where your real power wakes up. The part of you that doesn't beg, doesn't chase, doesn't shrink. It's been waiting underneath the noise, waiting for you to stop running. But most people never get there. They go back to the chaos. Reignite old fires, reopen wounds. Because healing is slow and quiet, and most folks would rather bleed in company than heal in solitude. God's peace has a price, and the cost is everything fake, every mask, every crutch, every relationship you used as a distraction. Peace demands authenticity. It demands presence. And that's why it's so rare, because being present in your own life, fully present, means you have to feel it all. The grief, the regret, the anxiety, and underneath all of that, peace, not loud, not proud, just there, steady, like a whisper, like a deep breath in the middle of a storm. People say they want peace, but they really want comfort. They want God to calm the storm outside, but they refuse to let him silence the storm inside. The one built on fear, pride, insecurity. So he pulls you out of the noise, not to punish you, but to detox you. From them, from it, from you. And that's when you start to hear again. Not voices, not opinions, just truth. Raw, untamed truth. The kind you can't argue with. The kind that doesn't need approval. It just is. And it lives in peace. But oh, it's lonely, so lonely, because the peace of God will separate you. Not out of cruelty, but clarity. It reveals who never really cared, who only stayed because they needed your chaos, who only loved the version of you that was broken and busy and begging. Peace. It offends them, because they can't manipulate it, can't compete with it, can't distract it. So they leave, or you leave. Either way, peace remains, quiet, unbothered, undeniable, and now you've got a choice. Go back to the chaos and pretend it was community. Or stay here in the stillness and learn how to live without the noise. It's not easy, it's not cute, but it's real. And maybe that's the point. Peace isn't a vibe. It's a war. One you win by surrendering. Oh, time, that ticking little devil. Everyone thinks they have so much of it, like it's guaranteed, like it's owed to them. You wake up, stretch, scroll your life away, promise yourself tomorrow will be the day you change, the day you move, the day you act. But tomorrow is a liar, and you're asleep in a burning house, laughing like the smoke isn't already in your lungs. The problem with people is they wait for the perfect moment, the perfect sign, the perfect alignment of stars, while the clock mocks them with every second. Tick, tock. That's not rhythm, that's your life slipping away in disguise. You say you're waiting for God to move. Funny, he already did. You just didn't like the way he did it. He closed that door, removed that person, exposed that fake opportunity. And you cried betrayal. You called it an attack. But what if it was mercy? What if your delay is nothing but disobedience in a church dress? You're not waiting on God. He's waiting on you to stop pretending you don't hear him. He's whispered. He's nudged. Now he's yelling through the silence, and still you scroll. Purpose doesn't beg. Destiny doesn't repeat itself like a missed call. It knocks once, maybe twice. Then it's gone. You think your gifts will wait forever. You think the world's going to pause for you to stop being scared. No, darling. Fear is your God now. You bow to it every morning. Worship at its feet by playing small. You've romanticized your comfort zone so much you made it your grave and called it peace. But that itch you feel, that ache that won't let you sleep, that's not anxiety. That's your purpose breaking through the illusion. People always want confirmation, a prophecy, a vision. But truth is, you already know. You know you should have left. You know you should have built. You know you should have spoken, but you didn't. Because moving means risk. Obedience means sacrifice. And sacrifice sounds poetic until it's your turn to bleed. So instead you pretend to be confused. You ask God for another sign while ignoring the fire in your bones. You say, I'm waiting on peace, but you're really just waiting for a version of the plan that doesn't require faith. And guess what? That version doesn't exist. You want control, not calling. You want clarity, not trust. But calling doesn't come with comfort. It comes with pressure, isolation, rejection. And oh, the silence. The kind that makes you question if you heard right. But in that silence is where God does his loudest work. That's where he separates the actors from the anointed, the imitators from the initiated. Because anybody can shout purpose when the stage is full, but can you obey when it's empty? When there's no applause, no audience, no one clapping for your courage? That's the test, not the outcome, the obedience. You treat divine instruction like a suggestion, like God is your assistant, not your commander. But he doesn't negotiate purpose, he demands it. And delayed obedience is just rebellion in slow motion. You've convinced yourself you're being patient, but really you're being disobedient. And the scariest part, you're running out of time. Not because God is cruel, but because purpose is seasonal. There are windows that don't open twice. Miss your moment, and you'll spend years trying to recreate what could have been birthed in a single act of obedience. But what if you move now? What if instead of waiting for another green light, you trusted the one he already gave you? What if you stopped calling fear wisdom and called it what it is, bondage? What if the miracle is locked behind your next act of obedience, not your next prayer? Because sometimes prayer becomes a hiding place, a delay tactic, a way to pretend you're doing something holy while avoiding the thing that requires real faith. Obedience isn't loud, it's quiet, unseen, lonely. But it's the only way through the fog. Purpose will cost you comfort. Calling will cost you crowds. Obedience will cost you control. But disobedience That'll cost you everything. You think the pain of obedience is hard weight until you feel the weight of regret. That kind of pain doesn't heal with time, it grows, it haunts. It reminds you every time you see someone doing what you were supposed to be doing. That fear won. That comfort became your cage. And cages don't look like prisons anymore. They look like routines, safety, stability. But they kill the same way with silence and time. So here you are. One more day, one more scroll, one more excuse. And still the clock ticks. You think you're managing time, but time's been managing you. Slowly, steadily, quietly stealing your fire while you tell yourself you're being wise. But wisdom without obedience is just fear with a diploma. And fire without action is just smoke. So ask yourself, how many more signs do you need? How many more nights will you lay there, fully aware, pretending you're still waiting on God, when deep down you know He already gave the order, and you've just been too scared to move? Number 4, the golden illusion. You think you're being overlooked, don't you? Like the world's spotlight somehow skipped you. Everyone else getting picked, promoted, praised, and you just the ghost in the hallway, clapping for everyone else's wins while biting your tongue bloody. That's the beauty of silence, though. It doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're cooking something too dangerous to unveil too soon. The real threat isn't loud. It waits, it watches. It lets the noise tire itself out, and then walks in like it always belonged. See, the world loves to measure power by how loud someone is, how visible, how shiny, how much applause they can gather in a room full of clapping puppets. But real power doesn't need a stage. It doesn't need the echo of fake compliments or recycled slogans. It sits in shadows. It sharpens itself in isolation. Because that's where the chosen are broken. That's where they're built. That's where the old version of you dies so the dangerous one can be born. Not in front of cameras, in silence, in prayer, in hidden obedience that no one claps for. They laugh at you because you don't fit their mold. You don't move like them, think like them, sell your soul like them. And that scares them. Oh, it terrifies them. Because people fear what they can't categorize, so they call you crazy. Too intense, too deep, too spiritual. But what they're really saying is, you remind me of everything I'm not willing to be. You became the mirror they can't stand to look into. And so they try to break you before you reveal what they've been hiding behind all along: mediocrity and costume. But don't flinch. Don't fold. Don't water down the fire just because the room prefers smoke. You weren't born to blend in. You were born to disrupt. That itch you feel, that burning in your bones. That's the blueprint waking up. That's destiny cracking through the surface of your disguise. And disguises, oh, we all wear them, don't we? The smile that hides the scream. The nod that masks the no. The laugh that covers the grief. But eventually the real you gets tired of pretending. Eventually purpose demands to be heard. And when it speaks, everything fake gets nervous. So what do? They isolate you. Not because you're broken, because you're dangerous. Because heaven doesn't build warriors in crowds, it builds them in caves, in the wilderness, where the applause stops, where the affirmations disappear, where all you've got left is your faith in the promise. And if you can survive there, oh, you become untouchable. You become the kind of person hell has nightmares about. The kind that walks into rooms and shifts the atmosphere without saying a word. Because silence becomes your weapon, and obedience becomes your roar. You want validation, don't you? A little proof that you're not crazy for believing in something no one else sees. You want someone to say, I see you. But the truth is, most won't. Not until it's undeniable. Not until the fruit shows up. Not until your obedience starts bearing results they can't ignore. And by then they'll say, they always knew. They'll act like they were there in the trenches with you. But you'll remember who clapped, who stayed, who disappeared when the lights dimmed and the music stopped. You were never overlooked. You were hidden. protected, concealed like a weapon, being sharpened in silence, being pulled back like an arrow. And the longer the pull, the farther the launch. But the thing about arrows, they don't ask for permission. They just pierce. They just hit. And when you hit, everything that slept on you will wake up confused, trying to figure out how you became unstoppable. But you won't explain. Because obedience doesn't need a press release. It needs results. So stay quiet, stay dangerous, let them think you're fading. Let them think you gave up. While behind the scenes, you're becoming everything they feared you would. And when the moment comes when the silence ends and the shift begins, don't walk in loud. Walk in ready. Because purpose doesn't need permission. It just needs a vessel crazy enough to obey when no one else will. And that's what makes you terrifying. Not the noise you make, but the silence you survived. Oh, they laughed when you said you saw it. When you dared whisper the idea that something bigger was calling you. That you felt it. That whisper. That push in the middle of the night. That divine nudge. They rolled their eyes, did they? Called it delusion. Imagination. Said it was just your way of coping. Your fantasy to escape the slow crawl of your miserable surroundings. But you weren't escaping. You were receiving. And they couldn't see it because they were too busy worshiping comfort. Too in love with the chains to imagine freedom. You spoke of a calling, they spoke of a paycheck. You spoke of alignment, they spoke of retirement. So tell me who's really crazy. The moment you saw it, it became your crime. You became guilty of vision, guilty of dreaming beyond the boundary lines they swore were the edge of the map. But you didn't just see more, you felt it in your bones, like fire, like hunger, like something clawing its way through your ribs just to be born. And you tried to ignore it, didn't you? Tried to be normal, tried to fit in, tried to laugh at jokes that weren't funny and sit at tables that made your soul itch. But your spirit kept screaming. Your spirit wouldn't sit still. Because once you've seen the truth, pretending gets painful. Here's the part they don't tell you about. The waiting. The unbearable, bone-rattling silence between the promise and the proof. The nights where doubt drips down your spine like poison. The days where nothing makes sense but everything demands faith. The moments where you beg for a sign and all you get is stillness. You start asking questions with no echo. You start wondering if maybe they were right. Maybe you were crazy. Maybe you made it all up. Maybe this calling is just a cruel joke dressed in hope. And still something in you won't let go. You walk through life like a phantom. A soul in limbo. Half here, half in a place that hasn't arrived yet. You start to feel like the broken one. The misplaced piece. The defect in a perfect machine. But what they call broken, God calls separated, set apart, chosen, not for comfort but for calling, not to blend in but to burn different. They don't get it because they weren't called, they weren't shown, you were. And that's the thing about vision, it isolates you. Because God shows you privately what won't be accepted publicly, and you better get used to walking alone. They want proof, you've got none, not yet. They want results, you've only got obedience. You want validation. All you've got is instruction. And that's what makes it warfare. Because obeying when you don't understand, that's the battleground. Trusting a voice no one else can hear while everyone else watches you sink deeper into invisible wares. But invisibility is where God hides his weapons. He trains you in the dark so you don't get soft in the light. Because if you can survive this silence, if you can trust him here, then nothing on the other side will shake you. And the people who laughed, they'll change their tune. Oh, they always do. Doubters become spectators. Skeptics become followers. The same ones who rolled their eyes will soon be nodding their heads, acting like they always believed in you. But you'll remember every empty room, every unanswered prayer, every fake friend who couldn't handle your process. You'll remember how it felt to be the joke, the whisper, the cautionary tale. And you'll smile not with pride, but with understanding. Because destiny doesn't come cheap. It costs your comfort, your sanity, your silence. The funny thing is, the shift never makes a sound. It doesn't come with fireworks or applause. It slips in while everyone's sleeping. Quiet. Sudden. Undeniable. One moment you're ignored, the next they're obsessed. And they'll call it luck, timing, fate, but you'll know better. You'll know it was the cost. The patience. The tears. The days you obeyed without a single sign. That's what built it. Not luck. Not chance. Not magic. Obedience. The raw, gritty kind. The kind that hurts. The kind that isolates. The kind that makes no sense to anyone except the one who called you.